The Dangers in My Heart is going to go down as easily one of my favorite romance series ever. Episode 9, just everything fell together so perfectly. And I think it's so great to have a series that sort of relies on misunderstandings and whatnot, but doesn't dwell on it. It's obviously hitting on Ichikawa misinterpreting what Yamada is doing, but it doesn't do it to an extent where it's frustrating and it's infuriating. It all sort of makes sense in his mind. Like I said, it's what he sort of misinterprets that's around him, but at least having this moment where he finally clicks it all together and finally understands, wait, I know she's not like this, and I know the reason why I'm doing this. Even though it's sort of a silly example, it still sort of hits. But no, episode 9 had so much to chew on and so much to dig into that I had to make a video. So if you're tired of me talking about how great the series is, too bad. But no, I want to hit each individual point, so I'm going to do like I typically do and go through the episode itself, obviously opening up with this idea that obviously Yamada wants his Line account, wants to talk to him, wants to be able to chat with him on her phone. And per usual, he doesn't quite get it. He doesn't understand why she's bringing up all this stuff. And again, this is another example of Yamada not being this person that's very comfortable with going out there after somebody that she likes. She's obviously dropping hints, but she's embarrassed. She still has her own side that she's not forward with people. But this transitions to the classroom scene where you have, her bringing up the idea of doing a classroom Line account. Everybody able to talk just like other classes do, giving her an easy way to get his contact information. I'm assuming with how Line works, it's not a direct thing. So if you do have a group chat, you still need somebody's actual line in order to directly communicate, because even though she quickly runs to Ichikawa and says, I need your line information, she's pushed to the side saying, no, you can't send somebody, we can't send the overpowered girl to get a slime. Which is a cute little reference, having Sekine get his information and it ends up being he has like a profile pic of Rem. They didn't even dodge it. I'm sure there's somebody in the production committee or something that is connected to the ReZero franchise, because yeah, you don't typically get that direct about a property. She's like, oh yeah, my brother's an otaku, I like Ram most, which is technically something that makes sense to me, that yes, an otaku, Ram is sort of geared toward taku. She's a maid girl, she wants to do everything for the main character. Obviously I like her too. Whereas Ram does make sense to me in the idea that a Gyaru would like Ram as a character because it sort of matches their personal taste. It's a giving type of character, but at the same time having a little bit of a bite, if that makes sense. But this kind of follows up with one of our first kind of significant hints in this episode, in the idea that yes, they push Yamada over to ask for the line information from the most popular boy in class, and Yamada doesn't want to do it. She wants Ichikawa's contact. And so as she's being pushed towards this, she's uncomfortable, and she looks to Ichikawa. It's a subtle indication that she's uncomfortable because he's there, and she doesn't want to give the wrong impression to Ichikawa. So obviously when it finally dawns on him, oh, she wanted my line information, what am I doing? She immediately is happy knowing that he realized it. Which is funny because Yamada doesn't technically grasp that, because obviously she doesn't know what's going through his head. She just thinks that he spoke up because he doesn't want her to get his information. A jealousy thing. But following this is like one of my favorite scenes, where it's like that frustration, but at the same time there is a sign that he's getting it. And the idea that Ichikawa at home, reading this manga that was given to him by Yamada, literally says, you are the one she's after. He's like talking about the fact that, okay, is this a sign of the type of boy that Yamada likes? Obviously she's reading this, she enjoys it, so this must be the type of boy that she likes. A type of boy that's so off-putting and keeps pushing away the main character, but secretly inside, he's a good guy. He's kind and a little awkward. And he gets frustrated because he throws the manga down and says, like, there's a boy like that. And it's like, dude, dude, really? Don't be that oblivious. But again, there's a realization point here. He realizes himself, wait a second. What if I'm wrong? It's dawning on him that there's a connection here, but he doesn't want to get his hopes up. There's obviously an explanation for this. Don't assume that she likes you because you're just going to get hurt. And this is where Yamada starts dropping some hints, not to Ichikawa, so to speak, but to everybody around. Because yes, we get the pretty boy showing up again, and he wants to invite her somewhere, and he ends up using... I feel so bad for Kobayashi. Kobayashi, poor girl. He assumes that the only way that he can get to Yamada is to use Kobayashi. So he invites Kobayashi too, and it sort of gives the indication this poor girl doesn't get asked out much. So she quickly believes the guy and says, yeah, sure, I'll go. But Yamada doesn't go because she knows what this guy's doing. Everybody knows this guy's doing. But she unfortunately falls for it, which absolutely breaks my heart. But this turns this whole thing where later on in the library, the girl that's obviously after this boy shows up. And she starts to say, well, I'm sorry about that. You obviously have a boyfriend already. Oh yeah, you were on TV. You obviously have a boyfriend. You have to cover that up. It's all acting, obviously. But Ichikawa's in the room. And so Yamada has to... There's like this twofold thing where at this point, Yamada is literally saying, no, I don't have a boyfriend, because she's telling Ichikawa that. She's not telling the girl. She's telling Ichikawa, I don't have a boyfriend. Please don't believe them. And he doesn't get it. But I love this scene because obviously somebody in the room catches it. The girl that's after this boy. So she goes and brings him into there to show him, look, she's got a boyfriend. And it sucks because it is a selfish thing, but it's also a clarification thing. She's showing this boy, look, she's not on the market, but at the same time also saying, look, there's other fish in the sea. Hear me. But yes, Yamada, it barely shows it. But yes, it shows Yamada note that they're coming to the room. Subtly, you can see her turning just like Ichikawa is noticing them, and she immediately turns back to Ichikawa and makes her move. She's trying to show them, I'm after Ichikawa. Girl got bold. And I love it. I love it. Again, it's not her technically trying to push herself upon him, but it's just her trying to make people realize, this is what I'm after. Leave me alone. I'm taken, in a sense. But I hate this because this is one of those moments where it really starts to sink into Ichikawa how she's using him. Because he notes this. He notices that she is trying to push upon him for the sake of those around her trying to get his attention. Oh, this makes sense. She's very uncomfortable around this guy, and now suddenly she's making moves on me. It's obvious that she's trying to use me to push him away. She doesn't have interest in me. Again, don't get your hopes up. The only reason they're hanging out together is because she's using him. And it leads up to the most heartbreaking scene. And again, I'm so happy it doesn't dwell on it. That's, I think, the refreshing thing about the series. This could have been the climax. They could have had this happen, and the next 3 episodes is literally him pushing her away. But no, they resolve it very quickly by having him just realize what the hell's happening in front of him. He's avoiding her, and eventually she corners him. It's because I got too close, right? She doesn't understand what's going through his mind, obviously, because she can't read his mind. So she just assumes because she got close to him, he doesn't like that, and it made him mad. But then it dawns on him. Wait, I know she's not like that. I've known all along that she's not like that. As she's holding the tissues, she's holding the tissues that he literally planted for her, which is a sign that she's always kept that tissue. She knew it was from him, and she's been holding on to it. He knew all along she wasn't like that. But just like this whole situation with this console, he was pushing her away, finding a reason to hate her because he didn't want to get obsessed with her and get let down. This is a thing that everybody wants. And I don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want to think that I want this because then I'm not going to get it. She's for other people. I've never been good enough. I pushed her away so I couldn't get hurt. But again, she's not like that. And he finally accepts her. And it's a great little scene of her hugging him. It's like, hide away over here so they can hug each other. It's like, oh yes, it's so good. Oh, I'm sorry, I know you don't like this. No, I never said that. He holds her, keeps her from pushing away. No, I never said that. He likes it. It's so good. It's such a good scene. And then to cap the whole episode off, I love the final scene because there's so much in there that's not really stated. I think this entire series, what makes it so great is that things aren't said. Yes, there's a lot in Ichikawa's mind, but especially for Yamada, you never get a sense of what she's thinking. You only go based on her actions and her body language. But as they're walking together, following this whole incident where he had this misunderstanding, he finally accepted her, she's happy, she's struggling for something to talk about. She talked about natto. Again, this is like one of those kind of, this seems minuscule, but it's got significance. She's talking about natto and stuff like that, and he's like, I'm sorry, look, I hate natto. She's fighting for something to talk about, finding some sort of similarity. And it dawns on him too, in this idea of, well, we just don't have anything in common. We're so different. We don't have anything in common that we could talk about. She's much better than me. She's this higher thing that I could never reach. But she's fighting for something. And even as he's going to leave, she's fighting to stop him. Let's find something to talk about. She wants to make a connection to him. And it finally turns a discussion about the manga itself, where they both find something they like. They find something similar. They both like the same thing about the first volume. So despite there being a difference between the two of them, they find similarities. They just gotta search for it. You gotta have a chance to find it. But yeah, super good. And then yes, she tries to steal his bike. She's such a dork. She is such a dork. I love it. Then of course she finally finds a way to get his line, which is to act like she forgot the novel. Oops, I forgot it. Let's get line contact so I can contact you and we can meet up to exchange it. Super cute. Love it. Absolutely love this episode. Again, so much about him piecing everything together. The book is so much like him. The tissues, she kept it. She kept making moves on him that he was ignoring. The line invitation, realizing that she's not that type of girl. He's always known that. The struggles of him thinking that she's using him, even though it's really just more her finding it difficult to confess to him. Making it all clear to other people while not to Ichikawa himself, because he's just not wanting to accept it. He's afraid of it. And then the whole later segment about them finding something similar they like, even though they're so different. It's so good, and I love it. And again, of course, as usual, add in the fantastic music that always hits the scenes. Great characters, the subtle details of, like I said, Yamada technically turning to them, realizing they're watching. Those little subtle details. Again, the cute scene of them hugging each other, and then the usual contrast between the size of them. It's so good. I love it to death. Cannot wait for more. And yeah, again, poor Kobayashi. But anyways, I just want to get on here and gush about how great this episode was. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Comment. Let me know what you thought of the episode. If you're still checking out the series, if you're planning on finally checking out the series, I think it's super good. It's super refreshing for a romance/comedy slice of life type show. So, but if you're new to the channel, make sure that subscribe button so you get all my content. I do news, reviews, first impressions, top lists. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Just so you want to support the channel more, I have a Patreon link, tips link, super thanks button down below. Greatly appreciate what it does, and y'all take care.